The days ahead are shrouded in mystery and anticipation. Many are speaking of the 3 days of darkness as a coming event that will shake the very foundations of the earth. It is said that this darkness, which has been prophesied in various spiritual and mystical traditions, will be like nothing the world has ever experienced. The sky will darken, and for 3 days the light of the sun will be completely blotted out. The earth will be enveloped in an eerie, unnatural blackness. And in this time, everything we thought we knew about our existence may be turned upside down. Now the question is, how should we prepare for these dark days? In many of the ancient texts and prophecies, it is told that this will be a time of testing, a time when humanity must face its inner demons and its deepest fears. The darkness is said to represent not just a physical absence of light, but also a spiritual trial, a moment when the very soul of mankind will be confronted with its deepest truths. It's a time when we will have to rely on our inner light, on our faith, and on our strength. The warnings come in many forms, from messages passed down through generations to insights from spiritual leaders and mystics. Some say that during these 3 days, we must stay indoors, keeping the lights off and praying for guidance. The belief is that any exposure to the outside world, especially any light, will bring harm during this time of trial. This is a period of deep reflection, a call to return to our spiritual roots, to reconnect with the divine, and to seek clarity in a world that often seems lost in confusion and chaos. As the days grow closer, there is a rising sense of urgency. People are preparing in different ways. Some are gathering supplies, others are preparing their hearts and minds. In some cultures, rituals are being planned to ensure safety during the darkness, to protect not only their homes but also their souls. While the exact details of how this darkness will unfold remain unknown, one thing is clear. This event will not be merely a physical phenomenon. It will be a turning point, a moment when humanity faces its collective awakening or potential downfall. During this time, some believe the veils between worlds will thin. Many spirits and beings from other dimensions may make themselves known. The energies will shift, and those who are attuned to the spiritual frequencies may feel a deep surge of power and understanding. But for others, the experience may be overwhelming and disorienting as the familiar world fades away, and the only thing left is the deep, pervasive silence of the void. The days of darkness may also reveal things about ourselves that we may not have been ready to confront. It is a moment for healing, yes, but also a time for purging and transformation. Anything that has remained hidden in our subconscious, unresolved traumas and the shadows of our own hearts may rise to the surface. We may have to face the parts of ourselves we have ignored or pushed aside for too long. And as the days pass and the darkness reaches its peak, it is said that there will be a powerful shift, a moment when the light returns. But this return is not merely a return to the old ways. It is said that the world will be changed forever. The people who have endured the 3 days of darkness will be forever transformed. They will emerge stronger, wiser, and more attuned to the true nature of the world and their place within it. The darkness will be a catalyst for an awakening, a necessary purification before the dawning of a new era. However, there is no guarantee of safety or salvation for everyone. Those who are not prepared, who are not grounded in their faith or their spiritual practices, may find the experience too much to handle. The darkness may consume them, pulling them into despair, confusion, and fear. It is a reminder that, while the coming days may bring great transformation, they will also bring great trials. As the time draws nearer, the message is clear. Brace yourself. Whether you see this event as a literal darkness or as a metaphor for a deeper spiritual awakening, prepare yourself for the coming trials. Trust in your inner light. Stay grounded, stay connected, and remember that in the end, it is through the darkness that we find our way to the light. The 3 days of darkness, whispers of an event so profound, so impactful, that it has captured the attention of spiritual seekers, mystics, and believers across the world. These days of shadow are not just a physical event. They are a spiritual trial, a reckoning for humanity, a moment where the very fabric of reality itself seems to hold its breath. The darkness will be all-encompassing. It will not simply be a cloud or storm that passes, but a force that seems to suspend time and space. as if the earth itself is temporarily withdrawing from the light. And during these days, humanity will be tested as never before. There's no shortage of prophecy surrounding this event. The sky will turn ashen, a deep, impenetrable blackness will spread across the land. There will be no stars, no moon, and the sun will vanish entirely from the sky. The usual rhythm of day and night will cease. It will be a deep, oppressive silence, broken only by the whispers of those who understand what is happening, or those trying to make sense of the chaos around them. The days will feel like an eternity, as though the world is holding its breath before a dramatic shift. And in this time, there will be no external light to guide us. Instead, we will have to rely on our internal illumination, our spiritual connection to the divine, and our inner strength. Many teachings suggest that during this period of darkness, we must not venture outdoors. To step into the world outside during these days of shadow is to risk exposure to forces that may lead us astray. Whether it's the literal forces of nature or the more metaphorical dangers that come when one is unprepared, the idea remains. During the darkness, one must stay within, where the safety of the soul can be maintained. This is a time for reflection, prayer, meditation, and profound connection to the higher self. But this is not merely a period of passive waiting. It is a time for deep inner work. The darkness, as it envelops the earth, will also illuminate parts of our souls that we may have long neglected or ignored. Hidden traumas, unresolved conflicts, and buried emotions will rise to the surface. This is an opportunity to face the aspects of ourselves we often run from. Those parts we fear, those parts that may need healing, those parts that cry out for our attention. The darkness will demand that we confront our deepest fears, but it will also provide the space for us to transcend them. It is a reckoning, yes, but also an opportunity for profound growth and personal transformation. There are those who claim that during this period, the veil between worlds will grow thin. The energies of the unseen realms may become more accessible, and some may experience visions, encounters, or revelations that seem almost beyond the reach of the ordinary world. These experiences could be intensely personal, as the separation between the material and spiritual realms dissolves for a brief moment. It's believed that these encounters can guide us, help us make sense of the transition we are undergoing, and give us glimpses of the divine mysteries at play. Yet for others, this thinning of the veil may be unsettling, perhaps even terrifying. The energies may be too overwhelming, and it is easy to lose oneself in the chaos of the unknown. As the 3 days stretch on, it may feel like humanity is teetering on the edge of an abyss. Every step forward, every breath, feels like it could be the one that defines us. The darkness may become suffocating, and some may begin to question whether the light will ever return. But those who endure, those who stay grounded in their faith, who hold on to the belief that the dawn will come, will find the strength to carry on. And then, after what will feel like an eternity, the darkness will finally lift. The light will return, the sun will rise once more, and the earth will once again bask in its warmth and glow. But this return of light will not simply be a return to the old ways. The world will be forever changed. The souls that have endured the trials of the 3 days of darkness will have been transformed. They will emerge from the shadows with a new clarity, a new purpose, and a new understanding of their place in the grand cosmic design. Their connection to the divine will be stronger, and their ability to navigate the challenges of life will be unshakable. They will know that they are part of something far greater than themselves, that their lives have meaning in ways they may never have understood before. The world may be different, but the transformation will be profound. For those who were lost, who wandered in confusion, the darkness may have been a call to return to the light within. For those who were awake, who had already begun their spiritual journey, the 3 days of darkness will serve as the final test, a purification before the true awakening. But it's important to remember, while the light will return, not all will emerge unscathed. The darkness will reveal the truth of each person's heart. Those who have been disconnected from their own light, those who have lived in fear, greed, or denial, may find themselves lost in the overwhelming power of the shadows. For them, the return of the light may not offer the same renewal. So as the days of darkness draw near, brace yourself. Prepare not just your home, but your soul. The trials will come, and they will be formidable. But in the end, it is the strength of your spirit that will see you through. Whether you choose to face the darkness with fear or with courage, it will shape your journey. And when the light returns, it will shine brighter than ever before, illuminating the path forward for those who choose to walk it with love, faith, and courage. As the final moments of the 3 days of darkness approach, there is an undeniable sense of anticipation, mixed with a quiet, pervasive tension. The world holds its breath, and for those who are aware, this moment feels inevitable. They understand that the trials of these 3 days are not just about surviving the external darkness, but confronting the internal shadows that have long been buried beneath the surface of human consciousness. This is a pivotal moment in history, one that forces humanity to choose, to evolve or to remain stagnant, to awaken or to ignore the signs and remain lost in the illusion of comfort. In this darkness, some will find their faith tested in ways they never imagined possible. Those who have lived with doubt or skepticism may feel the weight of their uncertainty pressing down on them as the world around them becomes increasingly unfamiliar. But for those whose hearts are grounded in the light, the darkness will become a time of deep spiritual communion, a chance to reconnect with the divine source, to find peace in the stillness, and to hear the quiet whisper of their inner guidance. But it won't be easy. The darkness will bring with it a sense of isolation, an emotional purging that feels overwhelming at times. The very act of facing our fears, our unresolved emotions, and our own personal struggles will feel like a battle. We may find ourselves questioning everything we've ever known, even the nature of existence itself. But in that moment of despair, when it feels as though the darkness is closing in, we must remember, it is only in facing the darkness that we can emerge stronger. Just as a seed must crack open in the soil to grow toward the light, so too must we crack open the walls we've built around our hearts and minds. For some, the darkness may be a time to heal long-held wounds, wounds inflicted by others, or wounds that we've inflicted upon ourselves. The ghosts of the past, the hurtful memories, and the regrets that have haunted us will surface, demanding our attention. This is an opportunity for deep healing, to release what no longer serves us, and to forgive ourselves and others. Only then, once we've let go of the weight of the past, can we fully embrace the new dawn that is to come. For others, the darkness may bring a revelation, an awakening to truths that were previously hidden, a revelation of the soul's true purpose. It is said that those who enter the darkness with an open heart, a willingness to surrender to the unknown, will receive the wisdom they seek. This is the time when clarity will arise from the confusion, when the path forward will be illuminated not by the external light, but by the light of the soul, which knows its true direction even in the midst of uncertainty. And then at last the moment of reckoning will come. As the darkness reaches its peak, it will feel as though time itself has stopped. The earth will be still, the silence deafening, but in that stillness there is power, a power that will ignite the return of the light. It will begin slowly at first as the first rays of sunlight break through the blackened sky. The dawn will not come in an instant, but as a slow, gradual emergence, a rebirth. It will be as though the entire earth is waking from a long, dark sleep, stretching its arms toward the sun once again. As the light grows stronger, the world will begin to come back to life, and yet everything will feel different. It will be as if the very air is charged with energy, and those who have endured the darkness will find themselves awakened to a new reality, one where they can see more clearly, hear more deeply, and feel more intensely. The world will have been purified, and those who have survived will have undergone a transformation. It will not be a return to the way things were before. Instead, it will be a new beginning, one where the old ways are no longer sufficient. The knowledge gained in the darkness will guide us into a new era of consciousness. In the days following the return of light, the world will be filled with a quiet reverence. There will be a sense of unity, a realization that we are all interconnected, no longer divided by fear, but bound by the shared experience of transformation. People will gather, not just to celebrate the return of light, but to share the wisdom gained during the darkness. They will speak of the inner journeys they have undertaken, of the truths they have uncovered, and of the healing they have experienced. And in this newfound connection, there will be a deep sense of peace, an understanding that the trials we face are not meant to break us, but to build us into something greater. Not all will have embraced the darkness in the same way. There will be those who, instead of finding enlightenment, succumb to fear, confusion, or despair. For them, the return of light may not bring the same clarity, and they may find themselves struggling to adapt to the new world that has emerged. They will be faced with a choice: to continue living in fear or to awaken to the truth that lies before them. But for those who have prepared, who have embraced the darkness, faced their fears, healed their wounds, and connected with their inner wisdom, the light will be a beacon that guides them to a new understanding of themselves and the world around them. As humanity steps into this new era, there will be a collective sense of hope. The darkness, though harrowing and difficult, will have given birth to a new way of being, one that is more aligned with love, compassion, and understanding. People will no longer be bound by the limitations of the old world. They will be free to create a new reality, one that reflects the highest potential of the human spirit. And in this new world, the lessons learned from the darkness will guide us, reminding us that even in our darkest hours, there is always the potential for growth, for rebirth, and for the emergence of light. As the final rays of light emerge after the darkness has lifted, a profound sense of transformation will sweep across the world. The air will feel different, lighter, clearer, as though the very atmosphere has been cleansed. People will look at each other with new eyes, sensing a deeper connection, a shared understanding of the struggle they have all just endured. The barriers that once divided them, whether of race, religion, nationality, or ideology, will begin to dissolve as the common experience of surviving the darkness unites them in ways words cannot fully express. In the silence that follows the storm, there will be an awakening to the fact that humanity is not separate, but part of a greater whole, bound together by a shared soul. The world will seem reborn. It will be as if the earth itself has shed its old skin, leaving behind the impurities of the past. People will feel a deep gratitude for the simple things: the warmth of the sun on their skin, the beauty of the natural world, the presence of others. There will be a renewed sense of reverence for life itself, for the very fact that we are here, together, living and breathing in this moment. It will be a world where each breath feels sacred, each step meaningful. The veil of illusion that had once clouded humanity's perception of reality will begin to lift, and with it, the realization that we are not isolated beings struggling alone in an indifferent universe. We are part of something far greater, connected not just to each other, but to the earth, the stars, and the divine force that permeates all things. In the aftermath of the darkness, people will feel more attuned to their intuition, more in touch with their true selves. The distractions of the material world will seem distant, less important, and the pursuit of shallow pleasures will lose its hold. There will be a collective shift in consciousness as the focus moves away from external validation and material accumulation and toward inner peace, spiritual growth, and the well-being of all living beings. The old systems that once ruled the world, systems based on fear, greed, and separation, will no longer resonate in the same way. They will begin to crumble as the new consciousness emerges, one rooted in love, unity, and respect for the earth and all its inhabitants. This shift will be challenging. The world they once knew will no longer make sense, and they will struggle to adapt to this new way of being. The darkness will have exposed their inner wounds and unresolved issues, and though the light has returned, they will still have work to do. But even for them, there is hope. The light that has returned is not just an external phenomenon, it is a reflection of the light within. And through patience, healing, and a willingness to face the depths of their own souls, they too will be able to transform. The 3 days of darkness have served as a kind of spiritual detox, clearing the path for the emergence of a more authentic, unified world. And as the days go on, the lessons of the darkness will become more and more apparent. The trials faced by humanity during those 3 days will be remembered as a pivotal moment in history, not just because of the physical changes that occurred, but because of the spiritual awakening that followed. The darkness once feared will become a symbol of rebirth, of the courage it takes to face our fears, to confront the shadows within ourselves, and to emerge stronger on the other side. It will be a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always the possibility of renewal. In the coming years, the memory of the 3 days of darkness will live on in stories, teachings, and rituals. Future generations will look back at this time as the moment when humanity's collective consciousness shifted, when the world was forever changed. And as new challenges arise, as they inevitably will, the lessons learned from that time of trial will guide humanity forward. People will remember that no matter how dark the road may seem, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. The darkness is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. Because through it, we discover the depth of our own strength, resilience, and capacity for love. In the grand scheme of the universe, the 3 days of darkness will be but a brief moment in time. But for those who live through it, it will be a moment of profound significance, one that shapes the course of their lives forever. They will carry the light of that experience within them, sharing it with others and passing it down to future generations, so that the wisdom gained during those dark days will never be forgotten. And in this way, the cycle of darkness and light will continue, each cycle bringing humanity closer to the truth of who they really are and the divine potential that lies within them. Ultimately, the 3 days of darkness will be a test, not just of survival, but of awakening. And when the light returns, it will bring with it the promise of a new world, a new era of unity, love, and understanding. It will be a world where the light within each person is recognized and honored, and where the darkness, once feared, is understood as a necessary part of the journey toward enlightenment. The darkness will no longer be something to shy away from, but something to face with courage, knowing that it is in the darkness that we find our true selves and our deepest connection to the divine. For many, this awakening will spark a deep desire to rebuild, not just their personal lives, but the collective world around them. Communities will begin to form with new intentions, grounded not in competition or division, but in collaboration and shared purpose. People will recognize that the individual path is never truly separate from the collective path, that every action, every thought, and every word ripples outward, affecting the whole. And as this understanding spreads, so too will the desire for a more harmonious existence. The drive for material wealth will no longer dominate the human experience. Instead, the pursuit of spiritual wealth, inner peace, wisdom, compassion will take precedence. In every corner of the world, people will begin to seek more meaningful connections. Relationships will evolve into bonds rooted in authenticity, vulnerability, and mutual respect. The superficial walls that once separated individuals, whether those walls were built by fear, pride, or ignorance, will begin to crumble. There will be a deep understanding that each person's journey is sacred, and that by walking together, we can all rise higher. Those who once lived in isolation will seek to reconnect with others, and those who were once divided will find common ground in their shared humanity. The earth, too, will feel this shift. People will begin to see the planet not as a resource to be exploited, but as a living, breathing entity that deserves respect and care. Environmental concerns, once pushed to the periphery of human consciousness, will move to the forefront. The new world will be one where sustainability, reverence for nature, and environmental stewardship become central values. Communities will work together to restore the balance between humanity and the natural world, understanding that the health of the earth is directly linked to the health of the people. As the memories of the darkness fade, the new generation will look back with gratitude and reverence. They will honor the transformative power of those 3 days as the catalyst that propelled humanity into this new era. The trials they faced will become part of the story of their collective awakening. A story of survival, yes, but more importantly, of evolution. Future generations will be taught the value of embracing the darkness, knowing that it is only through facing the shadows that we can fully appreciate the light. And they will carry this wisdom into their own lives, ensuring that the cycle of growth and transformation continues. But it is not just on a global scale that these changes will be felt. On a personal level, the individuals who have experienced the darkness will carry the weight of those days in a way that shapes their every choice and every interaction. They will have come to understand that life is fragile and that time is precious. The fleeting nature of the world will no longer feel like something to be feared, but something to be embraced with gratitude. People will live more consciously, making choices with the awareness that every moment is an opportunity to align with the divine, to choose love over fear, compassion over judgment, and unity over separation. The 3 days of darkness will ultimately become a touchstone for the human spirit, a defining event that reminds humanity of its capacity to overcome, to heal, and to transcend. The darkness will no longer be viewed as something to be avoided, but as a necessary part of the human experience. It will be understood as a time of inner alchemy, where the soul is tested and refined. And just as gold is purified through fire, so too will humanity be purified through its trials, emerging stronger, wiser, and more connected to its true purpose. As time passes, the stories of those 3 days will be shared not as fearful warnings, but as symbols of hope and transformation. The fear that once surrounded the concept of darkness will be replaced by a deep understanding that it is in our darkest hours that we often find our greatest strength. The lessons learned from those 3 days will serve as a guide for future generations, teaching them that even in the most challenging moments, there is always an opportunity for growth, healing, and renewal. And so, as the world continues to evolve, the legacy of the 3 days of darkness will remain. It will be a reminder that the trials of life are not to be feared, but embraced, for they are the very crucibles in which the soul is tested, purified, and ultimately awakened. The light that follows the darkness is not merely a return to the way things were. It is a profound rebirth, a new beginning that carries with it the promise of a brighter, more unified future. The darkness will always be a part of the cycle, but it will no longer be seen as something to fear. It will be understood as a transformative force, one that shapes the world in ways both visible and invisible. And in the end, when the next wave of trials arrives, humanity will face it not with trepidation, but with the wisdom that comes from having already faced the dark and emerged into the light. For in the end, it is through the darkness that we truly learn what it means to be human, and it is through the light that we find our way back to the divine. The 3 days of darkness will remain etched in our hearts, not as a moment of suffering, but as the moment of awakening.